All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Triad Expeditions, and in this episode we are continuing with the Maverick X3 modification series. So in this episode we're going to be discussing a couple things, and I'm going to show you something right up front here. These are the Can Am branded, BRP branded rear nets. And I almost sent them back because when I opened it up I was kind of disappointed with the overall look of them. I won't tell you what vendor I got them from, but it's a vendor I'm familiar with, and you could tell that they had been opened previously, and there was some missing hardware. There was a bunch of staples that, you know, they were kind of in rough shape. You could tell somebody had attempted installation a couple times. They utilize these clamps up there, and then what you do is you basically take that off of there, and then it drops down and it has magnets that go up underneath. Really not a bad design overall once I installed them, and then I'll actually show you here how they work. So you pull that down, and then, like I said, it's got magnets, and then you reach in, you know, and open your door normally, and then here they have like straps that go, it's kind of hard to do here one-handed, they have straps that you can tension in the net down. So not too bad to get inside. Once again, trying to do this one-handed, so sorry about the camera work, but yeah, not too bad actually. You know, and then the holes, there was no holes in the back, so I ended up having to basically drill a hole through the roof, which, I mean, the roof is really thick, so, and then I put a big old fender washer up on top, so that way, you know, definitely it wasn't going to pull through the bolt. But yeah, I just wanted to show those to you. They are like really just like half the price of a good set of PRP nets, and you know, these are basically so that our dog won't jump out the back, is what the thought there is. We're going to be putting a booster seat in there for little Ozzy to ride down the road with us, and he'll have his goggles on and everything else, so that is the plan. We still need to train him to wear his goggles, so that should be a treat, but he's a smart puppy, so I'm sure it won't be too bad. So I wanted to show those to you real quick. And then here we have like basically the next project, and I want to talk about it in this stage, as there's different parts that are staged out here. So what this is the Rotopax, basically like a 2-inch bar mount, made by ATX or whatever Motorsport, AFX that is, Motorsports. I guess I'm trying to forget their name because everything from them has been, I'm just going to say it has been a pile in just the hardware. So I know that, you know, I've been on these rants before about it, but literally I went to mount this up, and the bolts necessary to go around the most common bar, like a 2-inch bar, the bolts that they include here on the right, they're like kind of like 3/4 inch by 1/4 inch stainless hardware with the lock nuts. They're not long enough, so you can't basically mount this with the hardware. So I have some 1-inch bolts that are showing up today via Amazon, and then of course you're going to need a Rotopax mount. It comes with so here's the Rotopax mount here. It doesn't come with that. This is an extra that I have. Probably end up selling that or something, I don't know. I accidentally ordered 2 of them, or I'll probably find use for it down the road. But and then the 2.5 gallon can, and where this is going to be basically back here on the back, because I'm going to show you, basically probably the next thing I show you is going to be it mounted up. So I might as well kind of show you the idea of where it's going. It's going to go like right here, which sticks out away from the body, but that's kind of the whole point. I'm probably going to put the fill nozzle here towards the front, and it'd utilize like this bar right underneath the shock reservoir. I'm going to have to rotate the shock reservoir because I'm not going to want that to be that close to the top portion of this mount, just in case, you know, it was to rub or whatever. I don't want that to happen, so just give that a little bit of a rotation inboard to the unit itself. So let's talk about about this, because I kind of went around about it a couple times, and really kind of did some more research online when it comes to fuel and where to mount it. The one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to mount it above the engine or above your muffler. If you have a fuel leak, that fuel will flash, and then you will have a fire potentially. So originally I had thought that I was going to put it on the passenger side because that's where the fuel, obviously that's where the fuel inlet is on the passenger side, just forward of the door. A lot of folks don't know that. It's kind of a weird, like for those that aren't familiar with the Maverick X3, it's kind of cool that it's not very obvious. And so basically you pull this panel here. As you can tell, I'm not familiar with it. Oh, it's here in the back. Okay, good thing I didn't pull that off because it wouldn't have taken much. But anyways, so it uses one of these rubber grommets, you know, one of these famous rubber grommets, same size. Good thing I ordered like 25 of those dudes, because I have a feeling I'll probably end up losing this one too. But this, if I would have known this, I would have taken this one out and put it underneath my filter box back there before I cinched it all down. Maybe I'll still do that while I'm waiting on the grommet. I'll probably use this to compare to see if I ordered the right one before I do. But anyways, continuing on. So this is where the fuel fill is, right here behind this panel. That's kind of, you know, inconspicuous. So kind of a good thing and a bad thing, but yeah, it works. So I was originally going to mount that, but that's where the muffler runs. So don't do that. I mean, that's just my recommendation. I wouldn't do it. And one of the other thoughts that I have is basically I can take that filler, that 2.5 gallons, and when I'm pulled up next to a gas pump, of course, it's the fill is on the driver's side of the truck. I can basically just shuttle fuel around while I'm filling the truck. So I think that's what I'll do. I mean, these aren't very big tanks. They're only like 10-gallon tanks. So that might be a pain in the butt, but it won't be as much of a pain in the butt to top off the, especially if I haven't been going that far, to top off the Maverick instead of actually like having to pull around. Or maybe I'll try like grabbing the nozzle and actually pulling it over top, but I don't think that's going to work out too good. So we'll see how that goes. That is an idea for you if you want to shuttle some fuel over to the Maverick when you're up against the fuel pump, because it's not on the same side as probably your tow vehicle. So the other thing that we're going to do today, I think maybe my bolts just showed up, is we're actually going to take all the seats out, and that's going to be in preparation for the electrical install, which there's a lot of components showing up today also. So I'll be showing you that also as we pull that out. All right, so I'm just going to include this right in the middle of the video here that we're doing for another AFX product. So I had finally got the slim security lugs ordered in, and I'll talk about it more here later in this video on some recommendations on what to do with those. And so I got the lugs because the reason why that you really want those lugs, especially with the KMC wheels, they don't give you a whole bunch of room down inside here. That's why they sell the lugs as a completion kit when you order a set of wheels. So like for even like a thin-walled socket, it really does not want to get down in there very easily, if at all, to all the way down. And so the reason for that is for security purposes, so somebody doesn't take your expensive tires and rims, and the nuts that would be like a standard size nut for that thread looks like this right here, which takes, you know, a pretty decent sized socket that doesn't fit in there. The security lugs are much thinner than that, and the socket is a very extremely thin-walled socket that will get down in there. So somebody can't just come along with your off-the-shelf socket. As you can see, there's some spots that have come out of the top of these lugs, and I still will reuse those because nobody's going to see them, so you know what the heck. But anyways, the reason why they did those, or the reason why they did that is, and this is all very frustrating, once again, just more headaches caused by piss poor engineering, and hopefully AFX you're watching this, because these studs are too long. So I don't know if maybe these were just something that you could get cheaply or off the shelf, or no, they're just bolts. They're just simply bolts that are too long. Concept here. All right, so the rim sits flush down here. These bolts being too long, your lugs won't tighten down without trying to drive the bolt to the top of your lug nuts, which it's obviously it's thin up there. So they tightened down, and the rim hadn't tightened down yet, so I kept on tightening them, and I thought maybe there was some bad threads. But here's a concept. I'll get to it. The concept is these lugs here should be the same depth or height or length, whatever you want to call it, as a set of lugs on a Can Am X3, which is a pretty standard thing, right? All four corners have the same length lugs. That should be your goal, and then you wouldn't have any of these issues. There wouldn't be any compatibility issues as far as the length of the bolt. And I understand that the nuts that they gave you were pass-through nuts, lugs, but like once again, the problem with that is those will not work with, I would say, a majority of probably the wheels that are out there. So what's the solution to this? The solution is I'm going to put some washers, and I'll probably order some grade 8 washers to put underneath here, and that will be the solution. And you know, it's kind of unfortunate because you know it's not going to sit all the way around flush on top of this, but actually as I'm looking at this and seeing how this weld is up there on the top, I don't think I want that anyways, because I think a washer will sit on the rim itself and won't end up ruining the rim by gouging into it. So just a kind of a, you know, they should have ground this down, maybe, I don't know, it would have weakened the weld, but maybe that's tacked underneath. So it is a nice sturdy setup, because so I'm giving compliments and criticism at the same time. But yeah, this is easily fixed. Just use a shorter bolt. Just use the appropriate length bolt. That's all you have to do here, is just use the appropriate length bolt. So, and it would be easier to lift off of the thing. I mean, it's a bear to lift off of it, because you have to lift it like, 2 or 3 inches higher, or an inch higher probably than you really need to. So, all right. So another 5 minutes of rant in the middle of this. Just be aware if you buy this product that you're going to have to deal with this. All right, so continuing on with the AFX Motorsports Rotopax mount. The like I'd said, the 1-inch screws or bolts that is had come in, the stainless steel button head bolts, 1/4 inch by 20, and those were the ones that I needed that were going to be long enough to do the 2-inch bar here. The 3/4 ones, looking at, well, actually, yeah, it's these right here. As you can see, there's about a 1/4 inch difference, so they may have worked. I think I had the top ones a little bit tighter than the bottom ones, but you want to try to even those up. But it did not make it, the 3/4 ones did not facilitate for it to be put together very easily at all. So anyways, it looks pretty nice now that it's in there. I'll show you a different view, and once again, going back to the idea, put the nozzle forward so that if it does start leaking, to run down the front here and not towards the back, towards the engine. The cool thing about this is if you do mount it, and I'm not guaranteeing that you won't have an issue, but at least by mounting it in this position, as you can see, the fuel hopefully will run down the side of the fender and down onto the ground from there, and not into the engine and cause a fire. So yeah, not bad. Obviously the Rotopax, if you're not familiar with them, they screw on here, and that's where the roto comes from, and then it mounts on there pretty easily. So that's very solid, doesn't move around at all. So let's look at a couple things here too while we're at it, since they're just kind of minor issues. So I was talking about the AFX Motorsports, the tire carrier, and making sure to have the right lugs. So These are KMC wheels, so your flavor variety might vary with this, but I ended up ordering another set of lugs, and with that comes the security socket. You can order an additional one, and I really recommend that because this one will live in my toolbox, and then this one will live in my Blue Ridge Overland Gear bag tool roll that rolls up. It's a pretty slick setup how it works. It really makes a huge difference on getting as many tools with you as possible. I had demonstrated that in a previous video about how many more tools I could actually carry with me in a smaller space. So definitely put one in there, and then put like a couple lug nuts in there, because if you are out on the trail and for some reason one backs off, or you even lose all your lug nuts. In fact, I'm gonna put 4 in there. You never know. I mean, if for some reason your lug nuts, you know, definitely you end up finding out that your tire is almost completely off, you're gonna want 4 lug nuts to put back on there and tighten down in case something really had went bad for you. So you're gonna have the extra lug nuts anyways, and then 4 of them are gonna be going up there to hold it onto the tire rack, as you see in a previous video. But yeah, get an extra one of these. It comes with one. Put one in your tool bag, put one in your toolbox to use around the house, because if you end up taking it out of this bag for work that you're doing around the house, it'll never find its way back. So just a little advice there, and what my plan is, because the last thing I want to do is to be out on the trail without one. So, and it did come with one, but when I had the tires put on, they had kept it. So definitely when you if you get your tires put on and mounted, make sure that from the dealer or the shop that you get your tires mounted, that you get that back, because you're going to need that later. Hopefully not, but definitely you'll need it at some point in time. So what are we looking at here? We are looking at a custom cover that I've made for the little like glove console cubby. People aren't going to be sitting back here all this much. Obviously that it acts like as an armrest there, but I could not pass up the usage of this area for a cutoff switch, and then down there I drilled a 2.5 inch hole and a 2.5 inch hole there for the cutoff switch, and then flush mounted it, and that is going to be my cutoff switch. And I did tidy this up a little bit because it's just a mess from the factory, and I put some wire loom around my no-code charger, but there's going to be a bus bar located like right in here, and so all of my loads are going to come off that positive bus bar. There'll be a cable that will go from the cutoff switch over to the bus bar, and so that's what the majority of the videos going forward will be a lot of the electrical work that I'm doing here. And I hope that you think that the setup is worthy of doing. It's going to utilize relays to 2 fuse boxes, and also a Switch Pro. So that will be coming up soon. So if you're interested in seeing more of the videos that we're doing for the modification series, and maybe things to inspire you to do to your Maverick X3, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you will be informed when we come out with future videos. And thank you everybody for watching, and have a great day.